Good day, everybody. It's 12:40 on 6th of November 2025. It's a Thursday, and a lot of what I'm going to be talking about is other videos that other people put up. And unfortunately, old Glenn Deason, he's the guy that steals the show on some very good interviews for these past day or so. What is it, day, maybe 2 days? I have no idea. Look at this. I'm going to be getting the bench over here. I don't know, there's some guy behind me. Well, it looks like he's not hidden this way. I don't know what it is. This bench is one thing that a lot of people want to get. I don't know, should I switch this video to some other kind of a mode or just leave it like this? You guys want to see my handsome face the whole time? Maybe I'll just see if I can extend this selfie stick a little bit so you see a little bit more of background than me. Okay. So Glenn Deason, one great interview. Well, the interview, I don't know, it's not the interview itself necessarily, but he had Max Blumenthal on. And Max Blumenthal, you know, I thought he was probably, and maybe he's one of the great experts on telling us the truth about Israel. But it seems like he knows even more. I mean, it's weird, he's Jewish. But he knows even more about Venezuela and a lot about South and Central America. It's absolutely incredible. You know, I lived there for quite some time. I can verify some of the things he said, of course. You know, I'm not so much on the big upper politics sort of things, but I maybe disagree with him a little bit on things, just a little bit. I think he was kind of alluding to the fact in this interview that all these boats that Trump is destroying are fishing boats. He didn't come right out and say that. Maybe he was just sort of indicating that. And, you know, obviously some of them are fishing boats. Maybe most of them are. I don't have any idea. You know, I'm not there for one thing. But, you know, you see like these 4 motors on the back of the boat, and you think, wow, that's for more speed. A lot of time it is, but I've seen some of these, you know, this footage of Donald Trump, you know, right before he destroys the boats and kills whoever's on board. And, you know, no due process. There's no way that he knows, absolutely doesn't know who is on these boats and who he's killing, even if he's saying he does. He doesn't know. What do they have? Some spies within the so-called suspected drug cartels and saying, oh, take this shipment here or whatever. And like I said, undoubtedly, some of these people definitely have some drugs, but I don't know, like I said, how many. And, you know, as some of these, this video footage that you're looking at, you see these boats and they're small engines. And it's very possible that some of these people, they go out fishing and they don't want to be caught out there, you know, with their motor failing. And as I said, I lived in the Caribbean and I know of people, you know, you go out on boats and, you know, if you have one motor and your motor fails, then you're adrift. You know, you can sit there and paddle and hopefully, you know, the current is not that strong and you're going to be going to where you want to go. You know, but I've known people that did that. And I've known people whose fathers or something have died on boats because of similar reasons. And like I said, I'm going to be doing one day, who knows when, a coffee video. And there's somebody that did a lot of the picking, you know, with me. It was, her name is Kamika, and her father was on a boat, and I think they used to, one thing they did get, they were running alcohol, you know. They would buy alcohol bottles, you know, maybe, who knows. There's very cheap rum in the country that I was in, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but maybe they would be getting some forms of alcohol from, you know, further south, Brazil or Venezuela or whatever. So, and it's not like they filled the boat with this stuff, but they had, you know, quantities of that. And his girlfriend, so Kamika's father had a girlfriend who ran a bar, and of course a lot of that alcohol was for that bar, so it's not like it's a huge amount. They were also doing other things. They were transporting things, but not drugs. You know, maybe they were doing some, I have no idea. But anyway, what happened to that boat, nobody knows, because her father and everybody on board disappeared, you know. And then I knew a girl once, was almost going to be my girlfriend in Alaska, and her father, but this was an Alaskan I don't know, her father, I think, worked on a fishing boat, and that boat went down and disappeared. So this sort of stuff happens, and who knows how much of that is the United States, bombing and doing stuff to these boats. So anyway, these boats go down, sometimes like in storms. I've known other people too who had relatives, and of course, I don't know, do I know any people who disappeared on boats? Not necessarily. I know somebody else whose father goes in a small boat, smaller than the ones you're seeing Donald Trump destroying, and her father, who's like 70 some years old, he does some farming, and very small guy, and I don't know if he goes out alone ever, but maybe with another guy, and they fish sharks. They go shark fishing, and they catch sharks for the restaurants. So anyway, let me get back to the story here that I'm just throwing in some other facts in case you guys are interested in that sort of stuff. Okay. The biggest eye-opener, like I said, is this one with Max Blumenthal. He's got incredible knowledge, and he has so many facts, far more facts than you would ever want to know about what's going on, and people leading Venezuela, and the entire history of this and everything. It's just incredible. And the video anyway that with Glenn Deason is that video is called Max Blumenthal Venezuela Invasion, a predictable disaster. So if you want to get information overload, that's the one to go for. And like Max Blumenthal, and he's very, very good. He's not putting out things that are totally opinionated or anything. So anyway, that's about that. The video is not really pro-Trump at all, of course. It says he calls Trump administration, as far as foreign policy is concerned, a white-collar crime cartel. And he puts out the receipts, and he tells you why he calls it a white-collar criminal cartel. And nobody can do this better than Max, of course. I have a little bit of, what do you call it, I guess, I don't know if it's compassion or understanding, I guess, for Trump, and there's some things, of course, he deserves it. It's not like, I'll tell you what, even some of these worst drug lords and stuff, they have some compassionate sides too. It's not like, hey, even Adolf Hitler, if you want to get that far. But you don't dare say that in public, because then everybody is going to call you some kind of a monster or something if you say anything was good about Adolf Hitler or something. So yeah, this that comes, I guess, this term, having the receipts, that's related I guess to like Candace Owens. But like I said, I really like Candace Owens. But she's talking lately, unfortunately, about things, like about her dreams and things like, oh, Charlie Kirk, I saw this in a dream and all that. She shouldn't be doing that, and you get a little bit of overload on. And I'll say something else about Candace Owens and about this Ma'am Donnie a little bit later in the video. I've been towards the end of the video too. She puts out some really good stuff. She shouldn't talk about her dreams. That's all I wanted to talk about, because nobody's going to use that as a source or a reference or something, a reliable one anyway, except for Candace herself maybe. Soon Max Blumenthal is going to put out a report about this Venezuela stuff, this whole crisis and however that's going to unfold, and he's absolutely right, that Donald Trump is sitting there undecided on what he's actually going to do. And I kind of think Trump, he wants to be seen as the greatest president in world history, or the greatest leader that has ever lived on the planet of Earth, and I don't think, it's not going to go too well if he actually really does start a war and starts bombing things in Venezuela, and things can spiral out of control. I think Max was saying that, and Glenn Deason, everybody admits that. I don't know, I was mostly singing the praise of Max Blumenthal. That's what I was going to be talking about here, and he's he might be one of the biggest expert on Venezuela. When you listen to this video, it's like, how does somebody know all this stuff? You know, all these names of all these people, and you know, and all of these movements and things that have happened in Venezuela for quite some time. There was some questions. There was a guy with glasses, and he was behind Juan Guaido. And actually, you know, when the United States was backing Juan Guaido, it was actually this guy. And I don't know the guy's name. I forgot his name, and I don't know if I can find it. But he's like right there with Juan Guaido even. But he was there before, and maybe apparently people didn't like him, so, and he was kind of a younger guy. But there was a transitional person in charge between, you know, the United States put him there. I guess maybe that was after 2002. You know, this guy is an older guy or whatever to run Venezuela, and Chavez came back. So it wasn't actually in between. It was in between the two periods of Hugo Chavez, and Hugo Chavez came back. And, you know, the guy was kicked out, so to speak, and Chavistimo was returned. And but there's a couple points that I would have asked Max Blumenthal, and I would think maybe he would know about this, because he was talking about the neighbors of Venezuela and how they fit in as well. And I would ask him about Guyana. And Guyana is a southern neighbor, and I've known people from Guyana when I was in St. Vincent and all that. Real rough and wild country. That's, if you want to talk about jungle warfare, I tell you, that's a place. Guyana is a real wild place. What do they got? Those big, what is it, boa constrictors, or these anacondas, or these snakes, and then they have piranhas in the water there, and it's like, you know, it's like, oh, before I would go there, you know, I would have to read up on knowing what's going to be threatening, because that's a place you don't really want to go in without the knowledge, you know, Guyana. And they discovered oil there some years ago, as you know, a huge find. And the GDP of Guyana is the fastest growing GDP on planet Earth. Huge, you know, what was it, 25%? Nobody has 25%. I remember that at least a few years ago with this big oil find. And I think soon after that, Venezuela, they were claiming, I think, what is it, like 1/3 of Guyana, and saying that's ours. And, you know, I was thinking, you know, damn. And, you know, the United States was stepping in on that. I really don't know. I don't think it has anything to do with this threat against Venezuela. Well, it does have it, because it's oil, you know, but it's, I don't know. You really got to look into this stuff. There's so much that you don't see on any mainstream media at all, and it's not one of the big hotspots like Israel or Ukraine, so we don't hear so much about that. I mean, even less Suriname. Have you ever heard anything about Suriname? I'll tell you what, a lot of people watching this video, you probably don't even know where Suriname is. And that's a mega corrupt country in South America. Nowhere near as corrupt, of course, as Ukraine, but there's a lot of corruption down there. And because I hear about this stuff when I was living down there. But I lived down there. You didn't hear about Suriname. I never knew anybody from Suriname. It makes you curious. So what is Suriname? And you think, well, is that in Africa? No. Anyway, so fascinating. And I guess that was one of these places before you could actually just go there and get citizenship. So anybody, I don't know what it's like now, but if you guys, anybody out there listening is looking into how do I easily get a second citizenship, second passport, you might want to look into Suriname. I don't know if it's well accepted, if you can even get a citizenship or a passport from Suriname, and if it's going to be, you know, accepted in all countries or not. But you might want to look into that. So just for your own reference. Okay. And there's another thing. You know, I think it was Donald Trump talking about how, well, let's just go back a little bit further than that. As you all know, there was a big desire to separate the production potential of Germany with the energy supply potential of Russia. And of course they did that. So now they've put Germany against Russia. Very successful. I guess if you just keep going at it and at it and at it, it'll eventually work. And of course that one worked, of course. But of course they created a much bigger monster by throwing Russia and China together. The separation, you know, Russia wants to sell their energy. Everybody wants energy, and China, well, they have they're neighbors to Russia, and okay, so that was growing, and yeah, U.S. you just created a bigger Frankenstein's monster, and a little bit of a monster, but not so much. Is you had this competition, I guess you would say, between Colombia and Venezuela, and it seems like the United States, Donald Trump personally, that's not even Obama, Obama and Donald Trump both threw Russia and China together. Donald Trump just accelerated it, but Donald Trump, I guess he can be the sole, what do you say, victor of saying, I threw Colombia and Venezuela together. So anyway, they're starting to have a kind of a little bit of a honeymoon, I guess. And the United States, obviously, I think it's partly because Donald Trump was killing these people in these boats, and a lot of them are Colombian, and I don't know how many of them are Venezuelan, and I'll tell you what, they have these. So Donald Trump is supposedly shooting these drug boats. I should have looked, because I'm not sure that he's shooting these drug boats even on the Pacific, not in the Atlantic, where Trinidad is and Colombia and Venezuela, but even on the Pacific Ocean. And I don't think, I tell you what, maybe I was educated in America, so maybe I don't know, my dummy, but I didn't think that Venezuela has a coastline on the Pacific Ocean. So where are these boats coming from, if that is true? So I should have looked on a map before I opened up my mouth right now, maybe showing that I might be dumb, but I don't think that they have I don't think they border the Pacific. I might be wrong. So just throwing that out there, just setting myself up to look like a dummy for all of you guys out there, if indeed I am. Or maybe we're dummies to wonder where, if Venezuela doesn't have a coast on the Pacific, where are these drug dealers coming from? Peru, or I don't know. So let's just keep on going about this here. Yes. Let's see. I threw about this about the military. Yeah. Well, I was just going to also mention, we always had this divide and conquer, divide and rule, and I don't know if Donald Trump, it's maybe kind of like unite and exploit. So I don't know if any of these countries, even together, combined, Colombia and Venezuela, and whoever else might join in this, if Donald Trump ever does decide to attack Venezuela, maybe Cuba. Cuba's quite a distance away, though. I don't know, maybe Nicaragua. Maybe Donald Trump is going to be the war president. So, anyway, Angelina Jolie. What can we do without our Angelina? Angelina, please bring down your concertina and play a welcome for me, 'cause I'll be coming home to see. What was the one? Let's see. Move to Venezuela. Hey. What was that with Harry Belafonte? She take me money and run Venezuela. Anyway, I guess that's not Angelina. So Angelina Jolie, she made a surprise visit to Ukraine recently to show her support for the Nazis. And she's Jewish, isn't she? So she probably supports the other Nazis, the Zio Nazis, and the Ukraine Nazis. Some call them Ukrauts, the Ukrauts, but maybe you have to think of a good name for the Zionist Nazis. Zio Nazis we've already got. What about the Uk Nazis? So anyway, so she's there to show her support for the Uk Nazis, and I guess somebody grabbed her driver to conscript him and throw him to the front lines. I guess he's on his way. He's on his way to fight the Russians on the front line, So that's what you get for, showing your support for an American. Anyway, so he's on his way to go, get killed by the Russians is actually what's going to happen. He's going to be bombed with artillery, as most all of them are. I guess there's even video footage where she's going into a conscription place, supposedly to plead for his release. And some people, I get, there's all kinds of little these stories attached to that. No, she just wanted to go there to use the bathroom. I guess that was another one. But guess who put out this story about this whole thing is from the Ukrainians themselves. And I'm wondering, why is the Ukrainians, and probably these stations are owned by Zelensky himself, makes you wonder, how in the heck are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Saying this guy was commandeered and whisked away and thrown into a van to go die into Russian artillery or whatever. And then there's also now another story that said that she didn't do anything to try to get this guy free, or that she just went in there to make it look like she was trying to get this guy free. In any case, I guess, well, I'll get to that later. A little bit more about Angelina Jolie, but you have to wait until the end of the video and I'll tell you what happened about that. So, anyway, there's video footage of that, black and white, I guess. So, but anyway, it's, I don't know, a lot of this stuff has been proven to be false, and they actually did whisk this guy away, and he is getting used as counterfeit. I guess that is a certainty, that she wasn't going in there to use the bathroom. Anyway, okay. So anyway, Putin was giving an address. I guess it was the Council for Inter-Ethnic Relations. A whole bunch of people were there, and I think this also includes the Union State, Belarus, but I'm not positive because it's a Union State. It's called the Union State, Russia, Belarus. And Lukashenko said at some point in time in the future that it will include Ukraine. Though he believes it will. He didn't say it's going to. He said he believes it will include Ukraine as well. I guess it's because it's Eastern Slavic peoples. You know, Ukrainians, the Belarusians, and the Russians are all virtually one ethnic group. So, you know, and it's strange when you see the origins of Russia. And, you know, you start to think about that. A lot of these, the first Russians, for a large extent, came from Iran. So they're actually, there's Iranian bloodline also within the Russians. And you talk about these different types of people. And a lot of these are from the southern Russia. And it includes, believe it or not, the Sumerians. And not Sumerians, the Sumerians. And you know that name from, if you read the stories of Conan the Barbarian. And it's very strange because there really were Sumerians in these fantasy novels. I guess I don't know if that was he was considered one of the last Sumerians or whatever, Conan, but there really was a people that were Sumerians, and that is in the Russian heritage. So it's interesting, just for your imagination. And you think about the Huns and stuff that went through, and it's also, if you want to go even further, you know, the first, after the Soviet Union, the first leader of Belarus was not fully Belarusian. He was part French. And I guess when Napoleon came through Belarus, and as you know, I've even did videos in some of the battlegrounds over there, and you know, I told you about a lot of this history anyway. But anyway, some of the French stayed back, and they intermarried with Belarusians as well. And the first leader of Belarus was part French from this time period. So there is a very, I guess, what do you say? What do I say? Do I just say Russia is a massive melting pot? There are Asians, and even when you go on the metro and you try to look at some of these people, and you can see that, you know, that they have an Asian heritage, and some are darker skinned, and all from different regions. It's just kind of amazing. And I also said that the first Russians, I've said this in other videos, are, I mean, the first, what you would call Russians, with the word Russians, the first ones were governed from Kiev. Kiev was the first capital of Russia, believe it or not. And it's very strange when you see a lot of these Ukrainian Nazis, the Ukrauts, saying how much they hate the Russians. Is it like they're saying, are you saying you hate yourself because you were the first Russians? The first time people were called Russians were people that were governed with their capital being located in Kiev. Very strange. That's why they probably, you heard the term Kievan Rus. So anyway, just some interesting facts, just if you wanted to know this kind of stuff. So, and it also fits in with Angelina Jolie wanting to use the restroom. No, I'm just kidding. What a segue, huh? So anyway, no, I was actually talking already about Putin. This was called the Council for Inter-Ethnic Relations. He mentioned something that I've been mentioning a long time, many times, and he was saying, when he called them the so-called international organizations, and the pseudo-national centers are being established, throughout, beyond the borders, I guess you say the West, and, which includes, of course, parts of Eastern Europe, which I guess maybe you can call that the West. And they are these pseudo-national centers and so-called international organizations are established to escalate an information war. Oh, cognitive warfare. I've been talking about that a lot lately too. Oh, there's a guy peeing behind a tree. That's illegal. No, one guy's peeing on the tree and the other guy's peeing on the wall. I don't know if you guys, I don't have that camera on, so I can't show you guys. I'm sure you want to see guys peeing on the wall and in the tree over there. Oh, they're hidden, like making sure I can't see, in case I'm a gay guy, I guess. But anyway, this is cognitive warfare, like I was putting out, and this is that word used, I guess, from this big study by China. I talked about that in a video in the past. So, and it's supposed to be, he said, bring about a so-called decolonization of Russia, dismemberment of the Russian Federation. Wow. And a notorious strategic defeat. And that's certainly a hybrid war, obviously, along with the other wars that they're conducting against Russia. So, information war and a hot war and a proxy wars and all this. In other words, a hybrid war. So, and I mentioned, of course, in a lot of videos in the past, maybe some of you, I don't know if it's been since some of you have joined, but I always mention this person. His name is Gunther Fehlinger. And he is an economist by trade from Austria. I didn't say an Austrian he's not part of Austrian economics, but he's an economist, and he's from Austria. And he is part, or at least maybe the guy that heads a certain NATO think tank, and it's geared towards the expansion of Russia. How do I say this? A decolonization of Russia. An expansion of NATO. So he is there, and his deal is the expansion of NATO, which accompanies in part a decolonization of Russia. So in other words, what he's trying to do is to divide Russia, and depending on what you have read and what maybe he has said at times, but it's splitting Russia into either 30 or 40 different countries. And I think I've even seen a number of 41 countries or something like that. And you can find this online. Just look up Gunther Fehlinger, and maybe even, but they even have these maps of Russia, and they have all of the borders of Russia and all of the different states, and he's even assigned flags, various flags, some of them look like the American flag, to all of these nations that he wants to split Russia into, all of these countries. And of course this goes back maybe even 10 years, but it's incredible. And he's put out tweets, and I even mentioned many times, I said that that country he hates the most is not even Russia, it's Belarus. He hates Belarus. And number 2 is Serbia, and Serbia is going through some strange things. You just saw a day ago there's a photo op with Vucic shaking hands and meeting Zelensky, and there's even talk about getting some weapons from Serbia to Ukraine, which is very strange because I think even Vucic himself, they call their country Little Russia. Serbia is known by many to be Little Russia, and they are allied to a large extent with Russia. So I don't know what this move is. I don't know. And some people are saying he's a traitor, Vucic of Serbia. But you know what's going on? There's a huge, I've been talking about that many times, mega, non-stop and violent protests trying to overthrow, sponsored from the West, to overthrow the government of Serbia. And Serbia has been trying to get into the EU, God knows why. So I don't know what that's all about. So anyway, there's just something strange going on, and I'm not saying he's a traitor. I'm not going to say that, but it's just, some strange occurrences. Let me just say that. So, yes. So anyway, like I said, you can go online and you can see, how he's divided up Russia, and they even show you all the flags. Just look up Gunter Fehlinger, and because that's what he's known for. Yeah, incredible stuff. Anyway, okay, Putin, he did not mention Fehlinger, but he described the plans. It's on live television. This was broadcast even in Belarus. It was on the television like a lot yesterday. They showed a lot of what Putin was talking about. A lot of it was, I think, about these the missiles as well, and I'll get into some of that too, in the South American missiles, and Donald Trump. It's this is all interesting stuff. But he said what they're talking about. They're calling it a post-Russia, with obviously with Gunter Fehlinger, playing a major part in that, even though he didn't mention it, like I said. So he said that they are trying to sow discord amongst Russian citizens, and of course the Russian Federation, all of these other countries. But sow discord, and of course they've been to a large extent semi-successful with Belarusians as far as Russians are concerned. Very strange, very strange. And of course, obviously, it worked very well with Ukraine. Sow discord with Russians, and I think some people project that over half of the population of Ukraine is anti-Russian. So I don't know if that's true. But I don't even know how much in Belarus. Very strange, very strange. I tell you what, I talk about that all the time, and I don't understand a lot of that. But they've been, successful in brainwashing a lot of the Belarusians as well. To dislike their own country. They love Belarus, but they hate the government. In spite of what has happened in Belarus, the tremendous, economic, I don't know, not just survival, but the advancement of this country. And if you compare this to Moldova and Transnistria, places like that, to a large extent, even Ukraine, Belarus. Oh, look at these Baltic states. They're worse off, much worse off than Belarus, but yet they're part of the West, and so they've got their what do you call it, independence from the Soviet Union, and look at how much they're hurting. Anyway, and Belarus has practically no natural resources, practically none at all. So, they don't even have a seaport like these other countries do, and like a lot of the Baltics do. So I wonder how these people that don't like Russia and want to be separated completely from Russia and want to be tied to the West, how do they think we're going to actually live in this country? What is going to be our economic salvation when we have no natural resources, basically? Lukashenko is absolutely fantastic based on that, using human resources. So anyhow, but anyway, that's my opinion. So I said about the divide and conquer already. So the playbook, a lot of this is obviously Benjamin Netanyahu actually told us all about this, and he said social media. He was saying TikTok and X. So a lot of this is being done through that way, as you all know. And it's, like I said, the cognitive warfare. And it's, what is that other word I was saying? hybrid warfare. Benji Netanyahu, I guess I should say. Foreign intelligence, that's big time a part of it as well. And you know that the CIA was involved with U.S. aid and Radio Free Europe and all that kind of stuff here. And anyway, there, a lot of this stuff is still kind of active in a way in Russia. They're trying to do any way they possibly can, to get people probably to hate the government. And so I was saying lately, and you can just look, and maybe my 2 or 3 videos ago, about how a lot of people are being dissatisfied with Vladimir Putin. And it's like about what's going on in Ukraine. They want this thing over fast, and there's some split there. Some want to go all the way to Odessa, and I don't know if Zelensky did what Vladimir Putin was suggesting, they would even retain Odessa. But Zelensky, he wants Crimea, he wants everything. So, and he's obviously holding out. He's trying to get the United States involved, and Europe is too chicken of Russia unless they get the United States involved. So, it's all you guys already know all of the chess parts and how this is possibly going to go out if this happens and if that happens. So I don't even need to get into that so much. Don't forget the printed money. The United States can print money and start handing out money to anyone they want, whenever they want, and as much as they want. So that's a part of this too. Intelligence, foreign intelligence, the media, the ability to print money. The U.S. has the world's reserve currency. There's so many factors involved with this. So also, and there's another interview, but this one was not a Glenn Deason one. I'll get to another Glenn Deason one in a minute. But Chris Hedges, he had this interview with Rick Sanchez online. And, Rick Sanchez used to be with CNN, I guess. I don't know. I never watched CNN, so I didn't even know that. But now he's with RT. Very happy. He's very happy there. And he's got a big show. And Rick Hedges was saying that the billionaire class is going to do anything to destroy this Mamdani, the new mayor of New York City, with all that money, and of course with the help of Trump. And Trump is big time after that as well. Здравствуйте. And it's a neighbor. Oh, I can't show you. I got to show you this way. And her dog. So sometimes the dog might come running to me and then wants to get his ears rubbed or something by me. Anyway, so let's see. Mamdani. And Hedges, of course, said what is true. He said the United States is an extremely violent country, and it's like mentioned, of course, that they tried to assassinate Trump twice. Who is that? And he said that even a lot of these mass shootings and mass killings, sometimes they're not even mentioned anymore on the news in the United States because they're commonplace. It's like, I think somebody had some statistic, or every 10 seconds or something, somebody is murdered or attempted to be murdered or something like that in just Chicago alone, So gosh, it's incredible, I shouldn't be laughing. It's nothing funny, but I tell you what, there's far more violence and murders and all this kind of stuff in one city in America than there is in the entire country of Belarus. And it's like, what the heck? And that's why probably Lukashenko says that why the people in the West are studying. They study Lukashenko to say, how does he do this? How does this guy do this? And part of that is authoritarianism. There's no doubt about it. But Lukashenko, great. I don't know how he does it either, to be honest with you. But I guess it's the law, If you break the law, you get taken in, and it's not like you're going to go to jail or something, but at least they find out. It's like they're not going to say, oh, just let him go. They want to find out why somebody broke the law, or what is going on, and I don't know. There's a lot more fairness involved here. Maybe sometimes there isn't. I don't know. I heard some things. Somebody who I believe I heard what that story was. There was some protest going on, and somebody who was actually pro-government, and he stepped from off of the sidewalk or where the grass is at or whatever, and onto the street where the protesters, I think they were violent protesters, but I think that was maybe back in 2020, or was using violence. And so this guy was there, so they arrested him, and I think maybe he did a year in prison or something for that. I'm just teary, and he's still pro Lukashenko, and he's in prison. So I don't know. I'm just saying that's the story that I heard. So anyway, Chris Hedges, he was saying that it's will be very ugly what they're going to probably plan on doing with Mamdani, excuse me, because these people, he said, are going to stop at nothing to get rid of Mamdani, because it's and I was listening more to this Mamdani, and I saw there was a video, and on the video, the description of the video, it was said, Mamdani loves illegal migrants more than he loves New Yorkers. And so I watched this video, and he never said anything like that in the video. There was absolutely nothing in that video that had anything to do with him liking or disliking more of anybody, more or less. As a matter of fact, he probably even said New Yorkers. It's absolutely incredible. He probably said New Yorkers. And so there's nothing about liking migrants more. He just said it is a city of migrants, and it was built by migrants, and it will still remain a migrant city, and he's a migrant leader. But he didn't say, oh, I'm going to throw out the New Yorkers, or I like these migrants more. I think he said it's a city of immigrants. So I don't know why they keep twisting this stuff. They're trying to make him sound worse than he is. So, and he says he's a socialist. He's not a communist. And then I was wondering too. And I've known people that say they're communists. I'm thinking, I don't even know friggin' what communism is anymore. I had a different view of that. I don't know if I was indoctrinated in the United States, and I had this idea that, or this education, I guess I should say, that communists say everybody gets the same amount of money no matter what you do for a job. Like if you're a doctor and you spend all these years in medical school, or whatever, and then you get the same amount of money as a street sweeper. And so much of this, and I'm finding out, so I come over here, and it's very strange because doctors that go to medical school here, they get like free housing. They get an apartment. They give them an apartment, I think. So there's some really big benefits, and the pay is not bad at all. I believe it's like, I don't know, it's over 2,000 rubles, which doesn't sound like a lot, because I'll tell you what, to get $1,000, you'd have to be, I don't know about the exchange rate right now, it would have to be like 2,700 rubles, makes $1,000. But they get maybe 2,000. I don't know. I seriously don't know. Unless you go private practice, you can get a lot more money as a doctor, obviously. But if you're working for the government, I know it's over 2,000. It might be 2,300 or something like that. And then I'll tell you what, there's these jobs that if my Russian was better, because you really got to work, you got to get instruction, and you got to get it fast. And as I understand how this works, like, say I've been in agriculture, and I was saying, well, hey, I'll go do this job, work in a greenhouse here, and like you're planting things like lettuce maybe, or tomatoes, things like that. If I can remember even exactly which crops, but it's in greenhouses, and it's expanding a lot in Belarus, growing the food for the country. And when I came here back in the first time, the year 2000, there was very few. You could hardly find any green vegetables and things like that. And most of the time, people had to can your own food. They put them in these mason jar things, and you had your own food like that. You got it in the summertime, and you got the green vegetables and things like that. So you canned it for when it's wintertime. But now you have this all year long, all over. You have tropical fruits and things, and I think they're maybe coming from trade. I don't think they're growing them here in greenhouses. I'm just guessing. Anyway, and but anyway, they're growing a lot of this stuff, and it's expanding very much in Belarus. But as a worker, your starting pay is 2,200 rubles. And as starting pay for an engineer after you do your university studies in Belarus is like 1,000 rubles. You know, it's like, so you get less as an engineer than you do as an agricultural worker, just planting and harvesting some fruits in a greenhouse. And I was like, what? You know, so I guess that's communism. There was this Australian guy, I think it was Aussie or something, Australian in Belarus or something like that. And you can probably find him. As a matter of fact, he still puts stuff up on YouTube from old things that he did in Belarus and maybe that he never put up. I don't know, but he's now in Indonesia. Maybe he's back in Australia, but he shows things from Indonesia and all that too. And he says that Belarus is a communist country. I was thinking, that's not a communist country. And it's actually not a communist country. So how can you have these people that are making this huge money, you know, in private practice as doctors, and yet you have the government people where it's, matter of fact, for the most part, even free for a lot of people to go to see a doctor in Belarus. Of course, it's a long wait. You got to wait all day long practically to go in there. And sometimes you have to go to these things when you have to, for example, you have to get a health inspection, like when you're working somewhere, you know, like even in a bakery or wherever, you always have to get some sort of a medical examination when you are working in most places in Belarus. So you go there and you don't have to pay for that. I guess it's free. It's like totally free for a lot of these things where you get this physical and things like that. So it's a much different system, and they have, what do you say, a hybrid system, and they have two systems going side by side. So this Mamdani, and there's no way that he can implement communism. It's just not going to happen. And it's very strange that these billionaires, and they're really, really against him. And like I said something about Candace Owens talking about Mamdani, and that'll be coming up very soon, but it's at the end of the video, about her video talking about Mamdani. So, but it's a very short video and it's a very short message. So if you don't like Candace Owens, you can just stop watching right now. But if you like Candace Owens, you like this stuff, anyway, push the like button, push it, because YouTube works against me. They subdue my channel big time, as you all know. And it's a large part is because I'm saying positive things about Belarus. For some odd reason, these billionaires and Google, they hate Belarus. And a lot of people have been run out. I've talked about that in many enough videos, so I don't have to repeat it. So let me keep going here, what I'm talking about. Anyway, Chris Hedges said it's going to get really ugly. You know, when these people, these billionaires and Trump, and they really hate him, and they're going after this Mamdani. Wow. And so anyway, I've said enough about that anyway. Let me go on to something else. I was going to talk now a little bit about Ukraine. Who do we believe? Who do we believe of what's going on in Kupiansk and these other, you know, these encircled cities or big towns or whatever you want to call them in Ukraine? Do we believe the Russians or Zelensky, not the Ukrainians, Zelensky? A Russian commander made a video yesterday, or was it very early today? I'm not sure, maybe very early today, because I think it's very early today, saying that Russia will have Kupiansk completely liberated in a week to 10 days. Completely liberated. In other words, they will have gotten rid of all of the Ukrainians out of Kupiansk in about 10 days. And Zelensky says that the Ukrainians are nearly finished at clearing Kupiansk of the Russians. So they're just doing what is it, Ariel Sharon used to call mopping up. You know, mopping up, Ariel Sharon would be, you know, I think what he was meaning mopping up was killing all of the last Palestinians of wherever, you know, they were. They're nasty friggin' people, these Zio Nazis. Anyway, even just thinking about that just ticks me off. But anyway, Donald Trump also, what is he's doing? Donald Trump said yesterday at the American Business Forum in Miami that the U.S. is now the hottest country anywhere in the world. Within 9 months, he said it's been the hottest 9 months. probably anywhere in the world, I think he might have said, ever in history. But what he's trying to say that is the United States is the greatest country on earth again, just after 9 months of Donald Trump alone. So quickly he changed everything. And you're all hearing about how he's saying the trillions and trillions and trillions, Carl Sagan kind of stuff, trillions and trillions and trillions that he's bringing into America with all of his tariffs, like the greatest economic genius that has ever existed is Donald Trump with his tariffs. Yes, trillions and trillions. He even said that. He said trillions and trillions. And it's like, gosh, why did he lose all these elections, this big sweeping, all these loss of these elections, yes, these past days anyway, if that was all true. So anyway, the hottest country anywhere in the world. And was he talking about climate change? Maybe it was climate change. Was he talking about that it's getting warm, Greta Thunberg kind of global warming sort of a thing? Maybe, I don't know. No, it wasn't that. Wasn't anything to do with the climate change stuff, I guess. He said the trillions are just pouring in, and gosh dang. And then here's Mamdani, and here it was Vivek Ramaswamy. Maybe he should tell Vivek Ramaswamy to take down his video that when he said that the Republicans have to start focusing on affordability, making things affordable, that Americans cannot afford anything anymore. It's incredible. People don't have any money and stuff, but the trillions and trillions that are flooding in, I guess it's going to these billionaires, and that's why they want to get rid of this Mamdani. And that. I'll tell you what, some crazy, really crazy stuff. And it's who was it that said that Donald Trump is there for just his billionaire buddies? And unfortunately, it looks like it's. And I don't even want to say this, but it looks like it's definitely true. Because it was also put out that Wall Street bankers are going to get the biggest bonuses they've gotten at least in 4 years. So they're getting these huge bonuses now. I guess massive multi-million dollar bonuses this year. So I wonder where all these trillions of dollars went. It looks like it didn't go to the people on the streets now, did it? If they're all complaining and they're voting against Donald Trump and all Republicans, basically, maybe because of the fact that they can't afford anything anymore. So I'm finding out more about the economic situation in America in the past 24 hours than I have, well, maybe the last 2 days since this vote and the Republicans losing. Jeez, and these friggin' idiot Democrats. It's like, what the heck is going on? It's like you have no choice anymore. And it looks to me, what I've just been trying to find out about this Mamdani, I haven't been looking really deep, I guess, by the way, but this guy, he's like for people, for regular people, and not for the billionaires. It's that kind of looking like that. Well, all the billionaires got a lot more money now. The Wall Street bankers are all getting the biggest bonuses in a long time now with Donald Trump, but all these other people on the street, the regular people, can't even make ends meet anymore. They're getting poorer and poorer as time goes by. So I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. Because it's like absolute. It's like God, who wants to vote for these trans friggin' weirdo people like that? I don't know. So I don't know. These Democrats, they gotta wake up and get rid of their BS crap. So it's like, first you're gonna get this social crap from the Democrats, or you're gonna get poverty from Trump. It's like, what kind of decision is that? And maybe this Mamdani's somewhere in between. I don't know. Maybe he's against all these. It's just the promotion of forcing your kids to get sex changes or crap like that, and 500 genders, and oh man, what the heck? It's like, get the friggin' crap out of the United States. Come over here, man. We don't have any of that stuff. You have the best of both worlds in Belarus, and Russia. Sorry to say that. I don't have anything against America, against Americans or Germans or anything, But I'm a human being, and I'm for humanity, and humanity, as far as it goes with preserving our environment and whatever, anything that has anything to do with that, doing the right thing compared to the wrong thing, supporting religions as long as they don't hurt me or anybody else. Getting rid of these, these ideologies like, oh, you got to go out and kill the Russians because they're Russian, or the Palestinians because they're Palestinian, man. Anyway, the world's screwed up. So I'm glad to be here, actually, at least. I don't have to. I tell you what, if I didn't watch the news, I would never be hearing about all of this BS crap. But I got to think, wow. It's like the yin and yang. You hear about all this negativity and all of this crap that's going on outside of there, and then makes me feel thankful for what I'm living with over here. Just saying. So what else did Donald Trump come up to say? He says, we got to kick South Africa out of the G20. I don't know how they're doing economically or whatever, but he says, because they're killing whites down there. I don't think they have a policy of killing whites there. It's, what is it, like Nigeria? They're killing the Christians. Oh, friggin' a-hole. Shut up, Trump. I mean, Well, what about the Ukrainians wanting to kill the Russians? Or what about the Israelis wanting to kill the Palestinians? Well, there's nothing wrong with that, I guess, Donald Trump, is there? Oh, my God. So, anyway, kick him out, he said. Kick him out of the G20. Get rid of him. Kick him out. Kick him out. Kick him in the teeth. Yeah. And actually, it's more about his anti-BRICS agenda, It's all about domination. Friggin' A. I mean, I was thinking Donald Trump's not so bad. He's out for domination, and oh man, I'm gonna destroy the BRICS, this multi-polarity or something like that. No, USA has to dominate everybody. We have to be the greatest on earth. But the greatest king is Donald Trump, the greatest. I'm the greatest, and it's the greatest country because I have made it the greatest country. Look at these hands, everybody. Anyway. I don't know. I'm getting sick of Donald Trump, just to be honest with you, and this bragging and crap. But anyway, there is something the United States can brag about, and Donald Trump is not happy about it still, though. The U.S. fired off a Minuteman III hypersonic, yes, hypersonic missile, and it is hypersonic, in the past days. I thought that only certain countries, not including the U.S., had hypersonic missiles. So I guess there's some. I don't even know who told me that. Who said that the U.S. does not have hypersonic missiles? Well, they certainly do have hypersonics. So anyway, they fired off the Minuteman III hypersonic missile in the past days from the continental U.S. to the South Pacific. It's an intercontinental. Yes, I said intercontinental ballistic missile, and it's, I guess, a competitor to Russia's Avangard. But the Avangard is, if you want to go by speed, I don't know about strength, and I guess they're multiple entry missiles, both of them, I believe. And if you think, well, the U.S. had this at least 10 years ago, the Minuteman III. And so, are they ahead of Russia? Well, Russia had, of course, something like that before anyway, and I don't even know what the heck it's called, and I don't really care, to be honest with you. I just care about the here and the now. So this Avangard is the fastest missile on Earth, maybe by far. It's Mach 27, but the Minuteman III can reach Mach 24. And it's not even the United States' fastest missile, I don't think. I think the U.S. has a Mach 25. So, but anyway, it's very fast. It's Mach 24, and that's pretty fast. That's pretty fast. So, Russia has the fastest, and the United States has the second fastest. No. No, the Dongfeng from China is the second fastest. That's Mach 25. And maybe this Minuteman is Mach 24. So as far as these intercontinental ballistic missiles, Russia has the fastest. China has the second fastest, the Dongfeng. And the United States has the third fastest. And he probably got all really pissed off and said, we have to be number one. Everything that I touch turns to gold and is number one. So anyway, Donald Trump, he's really now in a big time race to make the hypersonic more hypersonic. So I don't know what he's going to call it. The Minuteman 47, I guess. Maybe he's going to call it, instead of the Minuteman 3. I don't know. You never know what Donald Trump has, you know. He wants to be the greatest, but he wants to look like he's modest. As a matter of fact, I think he even said he was modest the other day, and people weren't laughing because they didn't know if he was serious or not. It was actually really funny. That was funny. They didn't even know if they should laugh or not. Yeah. In Europe, the United States has had the Pershing missile. That's also hypersonic, by the way. And like I said, I met the commanding general of a brigadier general is normally based. He's based in Bremerhaven, Germany, and I met the command. Super guy. I like the guy. I like the guy quite a bit. He was the commanding general of the Pershing missiles in Germany or in Europe at that time. And yeah, that was back in the 80s. So the United States has had those things at least from back in those days. But I really liked him. I got along with him really, really good. Real low-key, calm, collect, you know, type of guy. I'll bet cats like him too because he's really calm, you know. So I can't even remember his name. Oh no, yes I did. But I won't say his name because I don't know who listens to these videos. And you know, if the United States finds out I talked to this guy, that who knows? Maybe they're. What did you say to him? You know. And I'm not supposed to even be talking about. I had to sign something and say I wouldn't be talking about, you know, things I talked about with these generals and congressmen and things like that. I'm not supposed to talk about it, or I don't know what are they going to do to me. But I'm sure that a lot of these other people, maybe they've had to sign some of these things as well. And I don't know. Apparently, I don't know if they come out or not and said anything. But I have some of this stuff, and I'll show it to you guys. Like I said, very soon, especially if it gets much colder, I'm going to be doing some stuff indoors, doing videos indoors. And some stuff was stolen from me, but a lot of this stuff, most of it I still have. And I will show you, you know, like autographed photographs from some military people and maybe Congress people and things like that, and thank you letters and things from top generals of the United States military of those days and things. And I'll show it to you in a video. So pay attention, and you better subscribe, or else you're not gonna be able to see those. And you'll think I'm just some joker that sits around here in a park, you know, looking for guys drinking alcohol so that I can join in with them. You're my bestest friend, you know. In Russian I can't. Yeah, Lucha, Stary Lucha Druch, you know, my old friend. Anyway, but anyway, I'll show it sometime. So let's keep going here. What am I talking about, these missiles? Okay. Anyway, the Pershing, the one good thing about that I never heard as well, but that's maneuverable. That's maneuverable, like the Russian ones. And it makes you kind of wonder, well, why can't the United States put this maneuverability in other missiles? But it looks like that's exactly what Donald Trump is going to be doing. Like the Russians have maneuverable missiles, and of course the United States is behind Russia by maybe even 10 years as far as missile development. So it's not going to happen completely in Donald Trump's time. And Donald Trump might brag and say that he did it, you know, like, what is it called? Operation Warp Speed Missiles. Warp Speed Missiles. I did it with these things, the shots in the arm and stuff, and I'll do it with the missiles. Look at these hands. I can do anything. Anyway, so it's maneuverable. Anyway, China has finished building a thorium. Wow, I don't even friggin' know what that is on the periodic chart of elements or whatever. What is it? Probably TH? I don't know. Thorium-powered cargo ship. A huge cargo ship. Not it's nuclear-powered, but the you know, the nucleus or the nuclear energy is thorium instead of uranium. Wow. And it turns out, it says, I guess that's quite an advancement when you think about this. You know why? Because it's a smaller reactor, it's safer, and it's quieter. And if this is going to be successful, you'll know very, very soon, and I'm imagining it is, because they've already put it in a great big tanker. They must have done a lot of tests on this already. So maybe they're just going to be make a few trips back and forth and see how this thing really holds up under pushing a huge amount of weight and needing a lot of power, and it will revolutionize all shipping. Wow. So this is going to be used, it's probably going to be successful in submarines and all sorts of shipping, military shipping, cargo shipping, everything. So it's going to be a big step up. Maybe even icebreakers in Russia. They have probably uranium powered, but I think it's much safer, thorium, than it is with uranium. Wow. And you don't need water to cool it. And we might even, I'll tell you what, you might even see thorium powered nuclear plants. Wow, wow, wow. So this is the beginning. And remember, you heard it here first. So subscribe. I never really tell people to subscribe, but I don't know, somehow it works really good with this video. So anyway, so let's get to Glenn Deason again. I told you he interviewed 2 people. So it was not only Max Blumenthal, but he also interviewed Colonel McGregor, and that was actually eye-opening as well. Colonel McGregor was really releasing his, I don't know, it's not his emotions. He wasn't jumping up and down and stomping his feet or nothing like that. But I think some of his suspicions or some of his thoughts, he released some of his thoughts that he was probably a lot more restrained in past videos. But in this one, and this is, did Colonel McGregor actually say this? So he said that Zelensky is not only very hateful of Russians, but he's also trying to kill as many Christians as possible. That's what he said. Kill as many Christians as possible in Ukraine, and apparently seeking to denude Ukraine of people. You know, like eliminate people, human beings in Ukraine. A lady over there. I don't know what she's a dog or something. Anyway, to denude Ukraine of people. Wow. And he said that Zelensky is conducting a war crime on the scale to match Gaza. He said he puts it right in the category of Gaza, and we all know Gaza, you know, Israel, and it's definitely a genocide. There's practically no denying that. Targeting children purposefully. Wow, I don't even want to talk about that guy at the moment. So it seems these Nazis, you got these Nazis like Netanyahu and Zelensky, are looked at by our Western politicians, the same ones that want to get rid of this Mamdani, but they're looked at by these billionaires and politicians as heroes. So isn't that strange? It kind of lets you know where we are in this society. Makes you wonder, so why aren't you coming to Belarus? It makes you wonder. You see all these Western jokers over there, and you start to realize this is really incredible. This is like a war. There are 2 sides. It's not like an iron curtain here. It's a side on class. It's a class warfare as well. This is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you see that like, just like Zelensky and all of his people call the Russians like cockroaches, and the Zio-Nazis in Israel calling the Palestinians cockroaches and all that. And then you have this damn upstart, this Mamdani guy coming up and basically saying all human beings have a value. Man, we got to get rid of this guy. Man, So it's sort of like I'm starting to think this Mamdani is incredible. I mean, I don't know everything about this guy, and I haven't sat there listening to everything, but it looks like they're trying to paint him into some sort of a corner to find somebody that he must hate or whatever. And I'm just thinking, I got to watch this guy, and I'll bet you anything. I'll bet you anything. They are scared. These people are messing their pants that this guy, he might make it to be president of the United States at one point in time, and it might even be very, very soon. Wow. And it's like almost saying, uh-oh, watch your back. Mamdani, watch your back. And I'm telling you, that is, there might be an attempt on this guy's life a lot sooner than we can even imagine. So, because it looks like a lot of these multi-billionaires and stuff are really pissed off. So that's where this Candace Owens thing comes in. And where did I even write this? What did I write this? But she was showing. It's like it's kind of like, you know, Candace. She likes to show the receipts all the time. And anyway, she mentioned all these names and all these billionaires that are out to get this Mamdani, and what they said about him or whatever. Wow, it's incredible. So I was also mentioning, I mentioned it earlier, but I got ahead of myself, of course, I do sometimes, about these bonuses, that the biggest bonuses in the last 4 years for all these Wall Street bankers and these Wall Streeters. And it says that AI, not only that, this is some real disastrous stuff for all of us regular people. And I don't know, you got to get yourself a plan. I'll tell you what, no matter who you are out there, and mark my words, because this might be coming after you, it says that this AI is going to shrink the workforce by 20% in the very near future, within the next year or two. So talk about something to watch out for, people. Yeah. I don't know. I tell you what, when they were talking about what is this CD animated what is this, CID? No. Animated drawing, or anyone. They can make crowns now with a computer. You can and like it's kind of like these digital printers. So, and you know, as a dental technician, and you can sit there on a keyboard and you make a crown, and the machine like a, I don't know, what do you call it, like a digital printer sort of thing, makes the crown, and you put in all these parameters on a keyboard. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I'm trying to find out where I put this thing about Candace Owens, or did I not put it on here? Maybe I snuck it in at the back. It's probably, yeah, it's down here. Ah, I found it. What a stupid idiot. It was your fault. Okay. So, okay, what I was talking about, Angelina Jolie. It turns out, you know, along with all this other information I told you about it, you know, that they came and they got her driver and shipped him off. He's going to the front lines. He probably gets a week training, so he's not gonna. Anyway, maybe he knows how to shoot a gun, so get up there and kill some Russians and let them kill you, because you're probably Russian anyway. So, but anyway, Angelina Jolie apparently was paid, I don't know if it was just about or over $1 million just to visit Ukraine this time, just like yesterday or whenever she was there. So she was paid money to go there. Wow. Just like before when she went there, and Ben Stiller and all these people, they were paid, and the money came out of US aid. You know, and we're thinking, that's great, Donald Trump got rid of US aid. I don't even know if he really did get rid of US aid, or maybe US aid fell under the State Department, or maybe it was under the, I don't know, like Marco Rubio. I don't know for sure, but obviously there's still a bunch of money flowing to go to these places, and I don't know, like who paid Angelina Jolie. If it was from US aid, maybe we'll find out. I don't know. Let's wait it out here. So this video from Candace Owens was a very short video. Maybe it's part of a larger video that she made, and they just took that little section out. And she was saying why she thinks that Mamdani won, and she said that most of it comes down to this first debate. So this first debate that they were talking about, and they were asking like Cuomo and all this thing, that Trump was against Cuomo, and now Trump was for Cuomo. You know, and he was supposed to be doing all this illegal stuff. And Cuomo, he's the guy that put a bunch of older people in a place that was infected with COVID, and you know, and the whole bunch of them all died. Huge amounts of elderly people, you know, that are more susceptible to COVID. And he herded them all together in nursing homes and things like that. I guess he's admitted to that, and he apologized for it as he was running for this, because that was a big thing that a lot of people didn't like. So, but anyway, he's like corruption things and all that too. I don't know anything about it. I'm not from New York. But anyway, she said it was mostly because of the first debate, and a lot of these debates, and she was even showing little excerpts from it. So if you really like to gloat, like I liked it a lot. So if you like to gloat, you'll go and watch this video of Candace Owens. and I don't know what it was called. I think it was called Mamdani, to be honest with you. And they showed him, it was like a little short, and they were asking these people about, if there's any country that you want to go to visit, what country would that be? And these guys are saying Ukraine, Israel, and all this, and they're kind of fighting over who supports Israel and Ukraine the most. I sent this money. I support Ukraine the most. I support, and of course this Mamdani, he's one time he even said, I stand with Ukraine, which I don't know. Maybe he said that, and maybe he stands with Ukraine like he stands with all countries. But maybe that's how he goes. And it's sort of like that question when supposedly they asked Jesus, are you king of the Jews? And he said yes or something, but he maybe said he's maybe the king of mankind. I don't know. King of humanity. I don't know. I think like I said, I think a lot of the Bible is, and it's been altered, and it's, the Old Testament for sure, a lot of things conflict with each other in there. I don't know. I don't want to do that. That's just my deal, and doesn't mean I'm against Christianity. I'm certainly not against Christianity. I believe in Jesus, and big time. So anyway, but I don't believe everything that everybody tells me. Not even about Mamdani. That's the point I'm trying to make here. That he's so bad or that he's so good. So I don't know. What does he really think about Ukraine? But anyway, like I said, Candace Owens talks about this debate, and all these candidates are saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to Ukraine. I would go to Israel. Oh, I'm the best supporter of Israel. I'm the best supporter of Ukraine." All this sort of thing. And Mamdani, when they asked him, what country would you go? He said, "Well, I just want to stay here in New York. I support New York. I support New York." Maybe he said, "I support New Yorkers." He might have even said that, But no. He supports migrants, illegal migrants. To keep up. Anyway, it doesn't sound like this guy's anywhere near as bad. As a matter of fact, he might just be one of the best politicians in America right now. So I'm just saying that. I'm not going to agree with anything that especially that Donald Trump says that he's a communist. But even if he is a communist, I don't even know what communism is anymore. Brainwashed back even in the university. I don't know. So anyhow, I think that's about it. Somebody yelling back there. Okay. Anyway, how long is this video? Oh, it's over an hour. Man, I've been japping my jaws so long here. Didn't even walk at all. But that's about it. And I hope I said something that you guys can use, or maybe just look at these videos. Candace Owens, Glenn Deason. You probably can't get RT, so you won't see the Rick Sanchez video. Anyway, these guys are putting out some good stuff, and it's rather than me repeating stuff verbatim, you'll catch a lot of the other more details about what they were saying if you watch the videos on your own. I'm just trying to maybe help a lot of you if you don't want to sit around, if you don't have the time. I don't have the time necessarily either to sit around and watch all these videos all this time, but there's a lot of good things put out, and a lot of these people are very trustworthy with their information, such as Candace Owens, or even Glenn Deason, or Max Blumenthal, of course, and all of this. So Chris Hedges, I didn't mention him too. So anyhow, people, thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.